I accommodate him. He's in the shack here. His name is Bob. You want to say hello to Paul?
Hello, Paul. I'm curious to know if you're picking up the echo from the...
oh, let me turn that off. Okay, now you won't hear an echo.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know, go ahead, speak.
That's it.
Okay. That's all you have to say. Anyway, it's a little cooler here because we're a little further north. It's 54 degrees, and it's breezy. And it's kind of cool. It feels cooler than 54 degrees because of the breeze. So I hope my signal's a little bit better now. Back over to you, Paul. WA3VJB, WB2CAU.
Oh yeah, quite a bit more strapping. Hello to Bob. Nice to make your acquaintance. I'm located near Annapolis on the Chesapeake Bay, where you saw our Baltimore Port of Harbor in the news here. And I usually take a question or two when somebody realizes they're working somebody who's about 12 miles away from the shipwreck. Oh, man. Yeah, sounds good, Bob. I didn't catch too much of you on Eric's mic there, but Eric is well known for his quality audio, and microphone selection is among the reasons why. The other is his carefully calibrated ear that yields the sort of sound that we like to listen to. So... welcome from Florida. My brother-in-law and his girlfriend are at Amelia Island, Fernandina Beach, most proper. But they're up here right now. They've got a small cabin on Virginia's eastern shore, not far from the NASA rocket facility known as Wallops Island. Otherwise, we get down occasionally to Fernandina Beach when they're placed down there on Amelia Island. So back to you, Bob and Eric. WB2CAU, WA3VJB.
Say something, Bob.
Okay, WB2CAU.
No, WB2CAU.
Is that what I said?
You said WA2.
Oh, WB2CAU. Yeah, all right. Well, I kind of know his call, but, for some reason I was dyslexic, which I think kind of comes along with age. I've known Eric for a great many years, and I moved to Florida, like he said. I'm originally from New York, and... again, I've known him for a very long time, and I was anxious to meet with him because I'm out visiting my daughter who lives out here on Long Island, and I was given the opportunity by the XYL, so to speak, and as they would say in CB
Is she up here with you?
Yeah, she's here with me, and yeah, she gave me the nod. Yeah, go visit your friend Eric. That's all fine. So I took that opportunity, and I was very excited to come by and see him. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyway, I'll take it over. I tried to favor the mic in his direction that time, but I'm not sure whether he was coming through clearly. I could see the response on the pan adapter here, but I don't know. You tell me whether it came through. Yeah, the E835. I'm not using that right now, Paul. I'm using a Behringer B1. So, but I do like the E835. Now, the person that you were talking to about that, I wonder who that might be, because I don't know that many people that have the E835. I chose that microphone for the dynamic when I use it in the summertime, based upon listening to auditions on YouTube, and compared to microphones in a similar category such as the SM58, which the SM58 is a very good microphone, and the difference between the Sennheiser E835 and the SM58 are very slight. But to my ear, I like the E835 better. But, we're talking about two microphones in the same price range that are both very good microphones. So, anyway, I ended up buying that. But I use that in the summertime. And this is the wintertime microphone where you don't have to... This microphone is much more sensitive. And when I have the air conditioner on, it picks it up more so than the dynamic mic. So, the dynamic mic is more appropriate for summertime activities. Unless you don't mind hearing the ambiance of an air conditioner in the background, which I don't mind hearing, as long as it's not something that takes out the person that's talking. And you have great audio, so I mean you're one of the reference standards when it comes to great broadcast audio, or better than broadcast audio. So, and I've heard you on both. I've heard you on broadcast AM, plus I've heard you on ham radio. So, and you always sound better on ham radio than you did on broadcast radio, because broadcast radio is not what it used to be. And I don't think you do that anymore anyway. But, I remember 30 years ago hearing you on my car radio coming through WHLI. And I said, hey, I know that guy. WA3VJB, this is WB2CAU.
W3FJJ.
FJJ, I'll turn it over to you in just a moment. Yeah, I heard you key up at the same time there, Chuck. Hello. Yeah, well, thanks, Eric. I know the AM broadcast band has kind of deteriorated in the time since I was on there. And the broadcast news gathering business has kind of deteriorated, too. So, yeah, that's why I got out about a year ago, and I have more time to play on the radio during the day. I'm actually doing some voiceover work, too, making this voice make some money for me after having crossed over into television after the radio news gathering part of things. And, yeah, you know, our friend Nick has this recording when I was working for Dow Jones television and radio before 9/11. I was headed home from New York, from Battery Park, and I was at Penn Station, and there was a track fire, and the old instincts kicked in where I called the WCBS newsroom, identified myself, and I said, hey, I'm here at a track fire. You want a bit? And they said, sure, we'll take a bit. What do you got? I said, well, there's smoke coming up. They've closed the station, and toss it to me when you're ready. So they knew they had a pro. And in the meantime, I'd found a attractive young woman who had walked along, saw me kind of watching the scene. I said, look, I'm getting ready to file a live radio report. Do you want to be an eyewitness with me? Yeah, sure. So I got her name, and I said, okay, now just hang on with me. They're going to turn it to me in a minute. And I'm using my analog cell phone, my brick phone, that sounded very good. And they turned it to me. Harley Carnes. Yeah, Paul, of course, in at Penn Station right now. What do you see, Paul? And I described the track fire that I'd seen. The station was closed. I said, this woman just came up from the train. Her name is, so-and-so. What did you see? And I hold the microphone of the cell phone, which is the entire phone, her way, because it's directional. And she spools out like a perfect 17-second bite, a sound bite, actuality. And then I said, okay, thank you. And I took it back to here. I said, Harley, that's all we got for now. I'll make a few calls for you. And he just thought it was great because it was entirely unscripted. And those are great moments in radio. Hey, Chuck, W3FJJ in the group, WA3VJB. Got Eric in here, too. How are you?
Yeah, Paul. Doing good, thanks. WA3VJB with WB2CAU. Hi, Eric. Hi, Bob. It's W3FJJ. I haven't talked to you, Eric, in quite a while. I actually turned on the upstairs receiver and heard you in there, and I said, well, maybe get on the air here. So I'll come down to the shack and turn things on, say hello. I don't know if I've heard you on 40 meters. Well, not in a long time, that's for sure. Sounding good there, Eric, as well as you, Paul. And I wonder if Bob's a ham operator. He sounded really good on the microphone there. Matter of fact, he sounded better than you, Eric. I don't know if you turned the mic back to yourself or you said you moved it over towards him. It sounded like you might have been a little farther away from it. I mean, it was felt fully modulated, but just got that effect, that hollow effect, maybe a little bit. But don't worry about what I say. So anyway, yep, nice day down here in the Delaware. I think it's in the 50s, low 50s, and very breezy. The same as Paul's got. Paul's probably a little warmer down there, a little further south. So how's things up there, Eric? And Bob, WB2CAU with the group W3FJJ.
Kilo Delta 2 Alpha Foxtrot Lima.
Yeah, I think it's Darrell, if I'm not mistaken. Kilo Delta 2 Alpha Foxtrot Lima. And the group, this is WB2CAU. Yeah, how you doing there, Chuck? I haven't talked to you in a long time. Yeah, the reason Bob sounds better than I do, he's got a better voice than I do, so that's why he sounds better on the mic, right, Bob?
Oh, I wouldn't say I have a better voice than him. I'm just told that I've got a deeper voice.
Okay, well, all right, so whichever. Anyway, Paul, no, I remember the time you're referring to, I think, was a time when I met with you over at Nick's house, and that was probably in the early 90s, I guess it was. I was thinking maybe it was in the 80s, but it was probably in the early 90s. And then I drove you from his house to the Huntington train station, and I think you were telling me that recently that was the time that you encountered that track fire. So I think that was that. But I was telling Bob here that you were on WHLI, but you were not working at WHLI. You were syndicated. You were doing a news program, I remember. And it was funny because I had, at that time, my mom was still alive, and I was using her car, which only had an AM radio. And I remember tuning around and then hearing the news on WHLI, and it was you. And then I came home and, dropped my mom off at her house, came back over here and fired up the radio on 40 meters, and ended up talking to you like probably an hour after I heard you on the air. So that was that. I just thought that was kind of interesting at that time, because I don't know where you were doing the news from or why you were home at that time. Maybe you went home for lunch, I don't know, or maybe you were doing it remotely from your house. I don't know. Well, you'll have to explain that one. But anyway, that was the time I heard you on WHLI, and that was the only time too, because I don't typically listen to AM radio, but that time I was forced to because I was using my mom's car, and her car only had AM radio in it, so that was it. So that's the only time I ever heard you on broadcast radio. Let me turn it over to Darrell, and Darrell, you turn it down to Paul. So KD2 AFL to pick it up with the group WB2CAU.
Okay, good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, whatever the case may be. Hello, Paul, Eric, the other station out there. I didn't get the names because I just came in, but I just want to say, up now. Oh boy, one of my wires is getting loose on the gates. I just want to say happy Friday, good Friday, and hope everybody have a good Easter. I'm going to pick up the grandkids, and we're going to go get some Easter baskets, and they're going to hang out with Pop-Pop. So when they hang out with Pop-Pop, boy, they know they get some good stuff. Well, everybody's sounding good. I just want to say hello to everybody, and I'm going to get out of here. Paul sounds very good all the time. So, fellas, y'all take care and have a good Easter. And I'm going to get out of here and go get the grandkids. This is Kilo Delta 2 Alpha Foxtrot Lemur. I'm going to be getting out of here and shutting the station down. So, happy Easter, everybody. And do not eat all those jelly beans. Y'all take care. 73, guys. Paul, you pick it up, and you got it.
All right, Darrell. Well, it's kind of a hit and run there. Hope you come back, and when you got a little more time, might not be this weekend if the grandkids are there. A friend of mine just told me a funny prank he was thinking of doing. He and his wife, who don't have kids, are hosting her side of the family, which includes 3 sisters, a brother, and all the grandkids. And my friend is trying to figure out how to keep the kids all occupied. So his way of doing this, at least as proposed, I don't know if his wife will overrule him or not, is to declare that there's an Easter egg hunt and keep them all tied up, because he won't have put any eggs out in the yard. And of course he'll have all kinds of surprises. You haven't found any? You haven't found one? And of course this will embarrass the kids, and they'll go back out and keep looking. And this will probably solve at least a couple hours. And I had a laugh out loud, because it's brilliant. It's just brilliant. So yeah, maybe try that there, Darrell. If you can get away with it, you'll probably bust out laughing. He can keep a straight poker face, but you'll probably bust out laughing, and you won't get away with it. And Chuck, hi to you. Yeah, checking in here. That's the other party here, Darrell, is Chuck, W3FJJ, at the north side of the Chesapeake Bay up in Newark, Delaware. Good signal down here. Wow. Really, really strong. I ought to switch over to the Nuvo 75. We all go down to 5 watts like Eric first checked in with. I wonder if you heard him when he was at 4 watts. And Bob, yeah, you got a great voice. If Eric has any recording capability, you ought to do what they do in the broadcast business, to get some celebrity IDs. It's like, hi, my name is Bob. Whenever I'm up from Florida, I listen to WB2CAU. And then we'll all be impressed, because you sound better than Eric. So there you go. Here comes a check. W3FJJ, WA3VJB with the group at the top of the hour.
Yeah, very good. WA3VJB in the group. W3FJJ. Yeah. Well, let's see. you asked me a question here. Well, I did not hear the 4 watts, but you guys are blasting in now. Everybody's 15 to 20 over. And hello to Daryl. Happy Easter to you. It's Chuck here in Newark, Delaware. I think we've worked before. And have fun with the grandkids there. I'm going to have my nephew and niece. I guess they're my grand nephew and niece or whatever. I actually will have my nephew and niece, but their kids are whatever their kids are. They'll be over, and I'm going to hide a few Easter eggs as well. I had them over a couple years ago. It wasn't last year. Well, they were over last year, but the year before, I hid some eggs in the backyard, and you know, I counted them, so I knew how many were out there. And they found them all but one, and they were looking and looking and looking, and they couldn't find it. And I've got a fenced-in backyard, and they're all in the backyard, you know, within the fence, and it's not a very big yard. But after a while, they kind of gave up, and then I was looking over the fence, and on the other side of the fence, there was an egg. And apparently, what happened was a squirrel got a hold of the egg and took it through the fence. I have picket fence, and he opened the egg, broke open the egg, and got the chocolate out. There was some chocolate candy in the egg. So we found the missing egg there. So anyhow, let's see, what else am I going to comment on here? Just good to hear you there, Eric, and Bob. Eric, I wonder if you heard from our mutual friend there, Ed. I have not heard from him lately. I should send him an email or give him a call. It's been a while since I've heard from him. And then I get a little worried, you know, when you don't hear from somebody for a while. Yeah, I've just been cleaning up here. I'm going to do a pickleball tournament tomorrow, and I'll be tied up. And I won't have time to get things ready for Easter. So I'm busy cleaning up and getting things as ready as I can today. There'll always be some last-minute stuff to do. So, anyway, that's the deal. So, over to you there, Eric. Wonder what you're running there. Maybe you were running 4 watts, so probably some kind of exciter and amplifier. And I'm on my homebrew 810 modulated with 304 TLs. WB2CAU and the group W3FJJ.
I'm not sure if I ever heard you on that transmitter before, Chuck. W3FJJ and the group WB2CAU. Sounds great. You asked me about Ed. Well, you know, I spoke to him on the phone, I guess maybe about 2 weeks ago, I guess. He calls me from time to time. I mean, I haven't talked to him on the radio in probably close to 30 years. I mean, it was back in the mid-90s, I think, the last time I heard him on the air. I've been trying to encourage him to get on AM. Apparently, he does a lot of listening, and I think he has difficulty putting up an antenna for 75 meters, but he said he could probably put up something for 40. So maybe we'll hear him back on the air on AM one of these days. But I did speak to him, I guess, within the last few weeks anyway. And I'm not going to stay in here too long because Bob doesn't have a whole lot of time before he's going to be heading back, and I got some more things to talk to him about before he leaves. So I'm going to say 7-3. Chuck, it was great to have you come in here. I haven't spoken to you in a long time. I have spoken to Paul since the last time I spoke to you on this band. Paul, I guess, is more of a staple on 40 meters these days instead of 75, you know, based on the conditions. So I guess this is where I find him, and of course he has a tremendous signal coming in here to Long Island from Maryland. And yeah, of course that bridge thing, I've been watching that stuff on the news, and you don't get a sense of how big that is because you're seeing it you know, without any reference to anything else. But then when you see it compared to that ship with those little tiny little boxes on there, which are shipping containers, you know, that are pretty big in their own right. So it's you know, it's only when you realize the scale of this thing and what kind of task it is to move that stuff out. They have a crane in there now. I think one of the biggest cranes on the Northeast that's in there to move some of the debris out. But they obviously can't pull out the entire bridge, so they have to cut that up. And from what I understand, the water is very murky, and the divers have to go down there and cut this thing and can't even see what they're cutting. So they have a real job ahead of them. And then they haul that stuff up in pieces, I guess, and who knows how they find these pieces. I guess they have to use sonar or something, because if they can't see through the water. Anyway, I'm gonna sign out of here. Paul, it was good talking with you again, and I'll have to get in here a little more often. I was in here this morning, by the way, talking to Tim Tron and a few other stations, and I don't usually get on the air this time of day. But Bob wanted to see a demonstration of the Anand, so I couldn't resist, and then I saw the activity here, and I heard Paul calling CQ, so I had to answer. So I'm going to send it back down to you, Paul, and say 7-3 to you, and to Chuck, and to Daryl, who was in and out very quickly, if he's still listening. 7-3, and Happy Easter to everybody. This is WB2CAU signing, and down to you, Paul, and talk to you again real soon. 7-3, WB2CAU now listening out.
Okay, Eric. Well, I'm glad you checked in to say hi and brought Bob into the picture there. I've got a recording of his appearance on CAU radio, and I'll send you a link to that later that you can actually show him how he sounded on your radio. You better watch out. You know, if you wind up remoting that thing and you get him to do those celebrity IDs that I told you, we're not going to want to talk to you anymore. He's got the voice. You know, and I occasionally will get Pam out here, and I just thought of doing that again because she plays pickleball, as does Chuck. And I was thinking of putting her on the second mic here and letting the two of them talk pickleball for a while. And I'll be limited to being the board operator. And, you know, every time that happens, I get all these people come out of the woodwork. They want to talk to her. They don't want to talk to me. So you better watch out with Bob there, because he's got that kind of resonance that's coming through on that microphone. And you really seriously ought to think about doing some celebrity IDs for yourself there. See you later, Bob. It is a pleasure to hear you on. And, yeah, as you can tell, we do a lot of hanging out and storytelling and carrying on here on the radio on shortwave. So maybe catch you again sometime. Have a safe travel back. And didn't catch which part of Florida you live in there, but as I mentioned, I know the very northeastern corner there. Take care of yourself. Let me kick it over to Chuck there if he's got anything more for you. And Eric, I'll see you later. I'll take up with you some future point how you might have heard me so quickly on the radio and then at home on another time. W3FJJ, just you and I, looks like. WA3VJB. Go ahead, Chuck. See you later, Eric and Bob.
Yeah, 7-3 Eric, 7-3 Bob. Really good to hear you guys. And Eric, thanks for the update there on Ed. Yeah, that's what I gathered too, that he's you know, he wants to get on the air, but just, you know, having trouble getting an antenna up. But have gotten quite a few SWL reports from him, but none recently, and I haven't heard from him, and I can't remember if I sent him an email and hadn't heard back, or I have to look back at my emails. But anyway, it's been a while. At least a month or so. I think I've talked to him, yeah, after the New Year's and all, but anyhow, time flies by, you know, and anyway, it would be nice to hear him back on the radio. And good to hear you on 40 meters. Yeah, we probably, well, I just can't remember working you on this band. And so the 810 is dedicated for 40 meters, the RF deck. The modulator is the same modulator I use on 80 meters, with modulating the 304 TL. Used to be a pair of 304s modulating a pair, but I took one out. So it's only one 304 TL in the final, which seems to be plenty. And anyway, we'll let you QSO there with Bob there. I didn't catch whether he was a ham or not. Maybe he is. certainly sounded natural. And if he is, you guys maybe can hook up on 15 meters. I was on 15 meter AM the other day, Paul, talking to Florida. There's a guy, I can't come up with his call sign offhand. Anyway, last weekend, he was on there it was either Saturday or Sunday. You know, for hours he was on there. And he was steady S9, very Q5 copy, running a, what was he running, a Ranger? Yeah, he was running a Ranger and a, I think barefoot, with a 2-element stepper antenna, and using a Mosley CM1 receiver. Anyway, he was steady S9 for hours, and I was listening to him upstairs, and I said, oh, heck, I'm going to come down and see if he can hear me, and I kind of nice QSO with him on 15 AM. 21378 was the frequency he was using. So I tuned back, I don't know if it was Monday, let's see, sometime this week. I did hear him on there again, but his signal wasn't quite as strong. It was copyable. And I was copying the other station he was talking to as well, which is out in the Midwest somewhere. But they weren't really real strong that day. Well, good to hear some 15 activity. AM, I'm trying to think. Well, I'm pretty sure I've worked 15 AM before, but there used to be some Europeans on there on AM. Haven't really listened up there that much this cycle. I have worked some 10 meter AM over to Europe, but not very much. Didn't even listen up there today, but I guess the band's been open just about every day. And the sunspots are really up there. Guess we had some kind of radio blackout yesterday. I got home, from pickleball, and I turned the receiver on. I tuned 40 meters. I didn't hear anybody on the whole band. You know, no sideband or nothing. All I got was line noise. I still get my line noise. So I knew the receiver was working and the antenna was hooked up, but no signals. And then I guess about an hour or two later, I tuned in again, and it was coming back. Yeah, it'd be good to get Pam on the radio. I'd like to see what she's up to there, how her pickleball, where she plays, and what kind of level, and what they do there. I guess does she? How? You probably know how far away she has to go. Is it pretty close to your house? WA3 VJB, W3 FJJ.
W3 FJJ, WA3 VJB, right back. And she plays in South Anne Arundel County, down toward Galesville, this South Arundel Rec Center. She played outdoors this morning. I couldn't believe it with the wind. She did pretty well. They have layered sign-ups. Otherwise, it's open play. I wish my nickname for it would catch on. Pick Up Pickleball, which is open play. But this morning was actually a sign-up sheet. And 16 players, enough for 2 courts. She's in the low to mid threes, according to the Duper rating. But she's got some skepticism about that, too. There's a new place up in Severna Park, which is up near Glen Burnie. They actually do an observed Duper rating. 2 different judges, 2 different pro-level instructors observe your play on 4 or 5 games that you've signed up for. And they go around to all the courts, so you don't really know when they're looking at you specifically or anyone else on your team. But somewhere along that 4-game play, they've evaluated you, and you get yourself a semi-professional rating rather than a self-reported scoring and algorithm rating system. So I suspect she's better than she thinks. She plays with people. Every time she comes home, it's like, who's a really good player, seems to be the italicized quote. And then she'll go on to say how she, did pretty well, took a couple of games and so on. It's like, you're a pretty good player. And you sort of have to kind of like hold her ear for a moment and whisper that in her ear and say, hey, you know, and she's doing the ladder tournaments. And what else is an aspect of that? I think there's a couple of out-of-town tournaments that they played in, too. One of them was up near Frederick. Smithsburg, Emmitsburg. There was like a statewide tournament that she was in. That'd be funny if you all ran across one another sometime. Although I would suppose you're up toward the Delaware side of things now and don't cross the bay that often to come down this way. But you never know. They had a tournament in Ocean City that would have been within your range. And that would have been funny if you seen her across the court there. So I'll pass along your activity there. And it was probably Gary you worked on 15 meters. WD4NKA, Never Kiss Alligators. I managed to land an SP600 here in the Olney area, Montgomery County, and put it on the Pony Express, which was my brother-in-law, from Maryland back to Amelia Island. And he came in from the, not quite Orlando, but further inland, Jacksonville, to collect the receiver. A friend of his collected the receiver. So he's got an SP600 that actually came from Maryland. And Gary's a good guy. We used to work fairly reliably early here on 40 meters. There was a path reliable, 6 o'clock or so, 6 a.m. And Eric was right. I have migrated up here because conditions seem to be so good and so reliably good, both in the morning up till about 10, maybe 11 o'clock when 40 meters seems to take a nap. And then it comes back in again around 2 p.m. or so, and we carry it up to dinner time. So it's been really nice. 75/80 meters. Yeah, I've been down low, 3705 with you guys. Ed PTX. I don't guess that's the Ed you're talking about with Eric. Must be another Ed. I didn't catch his calls. But PTX gets on fairly often up here, I think with the HT20. I have an HT220, a Motorola handheld, so naturally it rolls out that way. So it must be a different Ed that you're talking about. And I love the squirrel doing the egg roll, the Easter egg roll, just like on the White House lawn. That was pretty cool. Sneak it right through the slats of the picket fence. Of course, the chocolate probably killed him. I know they're not good. It's not good for dogs. It'd probably be a good thing if you use it to exterminate a squirrel. Tree rats, we've got so many of them around here, and they get into the bird feed. Try to put up a hanging feeder, and they do all kinds of stunts and calisthenics to get up the pole. So we'd just soon be without them. Both our labs, well, no. The one lab really wants to get one. He got the taste of one, and the other one couldn't care less. He'll just watch him Joe chase it. So right now they're both crashed out on the couch somewhere after our 2 or 3 mile hike. Well, I hear somebody zero beat. They might want to check in. Drag your feet. And I'm going to probably head for the door here near the bottom of the hour and start an early happy hour on a Friday afternoon. W3FJJ possible braking station, WA3VJB.
WA3BJB, KB2ZST. That wasn't me tuning up, but I just wanted to drop in and say hello, Paul. This is KB2ZST. You sound great.
Manny, so do you. You got a little reverb in there. Is that intentional?
Negative. I'm getting a little feedback from somewhere. I must have put 30 ferrites everywhere today, and it cured some of the problems, but I'm still getting that out of my amplified speaker. I don't know what to do about that.
Huh. Well, I guess you could put a shunt relay across it. When you key up, it just shorts it. I have that problem with the R390A. There's just enough output from the diode load that feeds a powered speaker that I actually have a set of relay contacts that shorts the diode load so it doesn't squeal back at me. Go ahead, Chuck. Do you know Manny? You guys have probably worked.
Oh, hi, Manny. This is Chuck, W3FJJ in Newark, Delaware. Good afternoon. Well, depending on if that speaker is hooked up to a power amplifier, you don't want to short it out. Yeah, you can short a line level output, but not a speaker output. But maybe, yeah, feed what's going into it. Yeah, I guess feed what's going into it. The input, yeah. I did hear a little bit of that reverb. On 15 meters, I pulled up my logbook. It was KK4GGJ. I hadn't heard of him before. He's in Florida. His name's Jan. He's on the East Coast, close to the water. Can't remember the town now, but it sounded pretty nice because they got a ham radio club there and they got pickleball. I said, man, I wouldn't mind, being close to the ocean, and all that, and having the warm weather and stuff. Sounds good, except for when the hurricanes come and all that. And I knew you were probably listening, Paul, when I jumped in there with my call sign while Eric was transmitting. I just wanted to see if you could hear me, and apparently you did. But I don't know if I probably wasn't strapping him, but I should have been pretty close to 0 beat on him. And yeah, good on Pam. Well, I don't really play that many tournaments. I played maybe a half dozen for the last 8 years, and this one's just a small one that our club is hosting. One of the gals I play with, she's my age. She passed away a couple months ago. Well, I guess 3 months ago. Anyway, she had gotten cancer, and our club was having a memorial pickleball tournament for. I guess the proceeds go to the cancer. One of the cancer. What you call it? Yeah, I can't think of the word of it. You know what I mean? Research cancer or whatever. I'm not sure where it's, but something to do with it. So it's all good. I did win a 3-5 tournament in South Carolina once, and my rating is like slightly above 3.5. I think it was 3.7, but I haven't been in any sanctioned tournaments in a long time. I played the couple tournaments at the Delaware Senior Olympics, which were sanctioned. The smaller ones, you won't even get a rating. But I'm not too worried about it. This area, there's plenty of people better than I am, but I don't know anybody that's really much higher than a 4. There might be 1, 4, 5 that I know of, but I mean, it could be changing as I speak. And then some of these guys I haven't played with in a while, some of the younger guys, I started playing with them, and they moved on. It's not as challenging, I guess. They're just so athletic. It's more a physical thing, But and there's a few I play with some 4.0, so I can tell the difference when you get up above 4.0. And I know what these guys rating the people are. I mean, what they're looking at, So, but I play with a group that's everybody's about between around 3.5, 3.75. Nobody's. Once in a while we get a 4.0. One guy's a 4.0. Plays in tournaments. So we're all about the same, and if you got your partners at 3, 5, or a little bit lower, and but it's all fun. I try to get better, but not too serious about it. I'm not drilling, and there's a few guys that are they really want to compete in tournaments, so they drill, and they got ball machines, and they're taking lessons and doing all this, coaches. It's not me. I'm just out there for the fun of it. Not that they're not having fun. My fun is not the same as their fun. All right, I can go on and on about that. Anything else? I'll leave it at that. Let me turn it back to you, Paul. WA3VJB. In the group W3FJJ.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Manny really got a turn. So, Manny, why don't you make one? And if you guys haven't talked before, introduce yourself there. KB2ZST, WA3VJB with the group.
Thank you very much, Paul. WA3BJB, KB2ZST. Yeah, W3FJJ, KB2ZST. Pleasure to meet you, Chuck. I'll introduce myself again. Name here is Manny Mike Alpha November Yankee. I'm in Kerhonkson, New York, and I'm running a Flex 5000 into a 922 amplifier into a inverted V up around 70 feet. And I had quite a bit of RF going in here, and I still have that echo. I'm not going to hold it too long. I just just wanted to get in there and say hello. I'm not a pickleball player, but I hear all about it. But yeah, you guys are both coming in really strong and sound great, both of you. So I'm just getting a little more familiar with the Flex and working the bugs out of it, and you know, a little at a time. So I got a 120 watt carrier right now. Maybe I'm hitting a little too hard, but hope I'm sounding good. And Paul, I can always use a tip from you regarding my my audio. So I'll turn it back over to you, Chuck, and again, pleasure to meet you. W3FJJ, KB2ZSC in the group.
Yeah, sounding good, Manny. The Flex 5000, and I'm surprised you're getting RF with that antenna being up so high. I mean, it's got to be pretty far from your, unless the antenna's right above the house, I guess. I'm running a low dipole. Mine's only 35 feet at the ends, and the center's only about 20 feet. It's really it really looks pathetic out there, but it seems to work. I'm just amazed. I mean, I could probably get it up higher, and I probably will, but right now I'm lazy, and it's been working, and I've been getting some decent reports with it, so left it the way it is here. I just put this antenna up here. I guess I've worked you, Paul, with this. This is my dipole. And stand by. This is my end fed. Uh-oh. I might get some RF into this setup. Hang on. Yeah, that's weird. I never used to get RF in on 40 meters, but I'll get some coupling in on my end fed now. But probably the signal went down. And Paul, I didn't mean to make another transmission. I know I turned it to Manny. But I do have well, no, I'll leave it for later. I had a question, but you pick it up, Paul. WA3VJB in the group W3FJJ.
I don't stand on formality. You know me. All right. Yeah, the end fed was S9 and the dipole is 10 to 15 over. So I noticed it here, right down the bay. I don't know. I think I've worked you on this antenna, but you always seem to put out a tremendous signal in our local area, either here on 40 or on 75 when we're down low there on 3705 in the afternoons. And it's just like we've got a pipeline. There's something about the orientation of our antennas. This seems to really favor things. And I'll comment on KK4GGJ on 15 meters. I haven't been on 15 since I had the T368. I think I even used the 40-meter dipole up on 15 because I knew the T3 didn't care. You know, the SWR was off and I didn't have a tuner, but, you know, so what? And, you know, I kind of given up on 10. It's been disappointing compared to cycle 23. And I completely skipped cycle 24, so cycle 25 has been a disappointment. But you've said lately that with 15 staying open for hours and hours, maybe 10's got some life in it too. I know our friend John, G3YPZ, has given up cajoling me to get on 10 more often, and I've been on with just the FT101EE, you know, a couple dozen watts, and the inverted V that's up around 70 feet. But it's just not as satisfying as it has been in times past. So when I've got time to play on the radio, I'll usually fire up here on 40 and have a good time there. So, Manny, I was kind of headed for the door right about now. We're going to start happy hour early. I don't have any more feedback really to offer on your audio. I'll be glad to, if you wanted to refine it at some point later, do some A/B comparisons and give you some instant feedback or what have you. Sounds like the task at hand is to get that RF out of there, that feedback loop. And yeah, that's what I meant, is to short the input on whatever it is that's driving the speaker. Or you could actually DPD the relay on the speaker and have it go to a resistive load when you're transmitting. Or just change the position of things. A couple of guys I know have done well after lots of toroids to simply move their cabling or move the speaker. And for some kind of reason, there's a hotspot of RF at that specific geographic location in the room. And of course, they also have to revisit whether they've done good engineering practice of laying the AC cables down on the floor and the audio cables up in the wall to keep those separated. Put the coax cables down low, I suppose, keep them away from the... So those are the only things I could think of off the top of my head to help curb where that's coming in on the flex receive speaker. So yeah, we'll take it up. I'll probably be on over the weekend somewhere or the other, or else some other point. Yeah, I hear that. Feels like a connector. I've switched over to the Sennheiser 421 after I did some mic tests, and this one winds up having a better sound than the 441. So I've now put the 421 on the mic boom, but it's a little bit microphonic. Physically, you can hear the springs. Yeah, how about that? That's the springs that hold up the mic arm. That sounds like a good hourly ID signal of some kind. Anyway, Manny, here it comes. Chuck, I'll see you later. And I'll look for you again. KB2ZST and W3FJJ on the side. This is WA3VJB Annapolis.
That's got a nice tone to it, Paul. I was just going to switch over to my... I wired up another microphone last night. And it's an old 726 Electro Voice. I wired it up for the flex. I thought it sounded good with the monitor, but I don't know how it's going to sound outboard. But anyway, yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we'll catch up another time. I just wanted to jump in and say hello, and also it was a pleasure to meet Chuck. And yeah, I want to experiment like you. I like that about you. You got like 100 microphones and you play around with this one and that one. That's what I like to do. I don't want to annoy anybody, but you know what I mean? There's a certain amount of people out there that love to do it, and there's a bunch that don't want to be bothered. I don't mean that in a bad way. Here comes this guy again. He's going to want an audio check and this and that. So I don't want to be one of those annoying people.
Antenna A, antenna A.
Enjoy connecting with people that have the same interest in experimenting and testing out this and that. So I'm going to say 7-3 to you, Paul and Chuck. You guys have a good day and happy Easter. If I don't talk to you before then. So you guys take care. God bless. And I appreciate all your help out there and your reports. WA3VJB, W3FJJ. This is KB2ZST. I'm going to clear after your final.
Yeah, okay, Manny, KB2ZST signing and WA3VJB signing. SW3FJJ. I'll be signing too. No, I actually got to get some stuff done around here. I got to keep going, but it was good to get on here for a bit. Nice to meet you, Manny. Flexes sounded fine. But yeah, you could probably tweak it, or always stuff you can do. I've heard other flexes that had that kind of reverb, but I didn't know whether there was the microphone. I didn't know if the microphone picking it up off the speaker. I mean, obviously, if you're hearing yourself come through the speaker, that's probably how it's doing it. But I was under the impression that somehow RF was getting into the computer or something, and it was causing reverb. I've heard it on a bunch of flexes over the years, and it was the early flexes, especially the 1000s, Flex 1000. the first one they came out with, which had like a sound, you had to use a sound card, and you had like firewire or something going between it, and somehow that thing would get reverb in it, but I don't think it was being picked up by the microphone. But yours might be a different case there. Well, good luck with that. And Paul, if you're still listening, it was KS3K we were talking about. I'm sure you remember Ed. And the springs sounded really good. Yeah, I got a boom here, but there ain't no springs. I can't do that. Anyway, good chatting. Enjoy the happy hour. I'm tempted here myself. I was going to take it easy tonight. We'll be doing the tournament tomorrow. But who knows, maybe I'll at least have an 807 here in a bit. See you later. WA3BJB, KB2ZST, W3FJJ. Signing clear.